I have the honor to give the second award to C.K. Williams. Maybe you come up. C.K. Williams is a poet extraordinaire. There are so many people in literature. C.K. is a professor of poetry at Princeton University. There's so many people in literature who argue that literature is something so unique that it can't be sullied by concerns about the world. And certainly that one ought to have a radical disjunction between the call of creating beauty and the call of healing and transforming the world. So we chose C.K. Williams because he is a poet who has embodied in his life the alternative vision, that one can both be creating beauty and simultaneously be deeply, deeply concerned about the healing and repair of the world. So it's a great honor to be able to give you this citation, the Tikkun Award. Let me read it to you. Tikkun Magazine and the Network of Spiritual Progressives is proud to give this award to C.K. Williams in recognition of your contribution to Tikkun Olam, the healing, repair, and transformation of our world. Tikkun gives this award to you, C.K., even though we know your poetry has been widely acknowledged in the world already through the Pulitzer Prize and much more. We at Tikkun have been blessed to publish a few of your poems and have recognized your unique contributions through poetry to the healing and transformation of the world. There is no poet writing today who is more attuned to the ethical implications of poetry than you. In your growing body of work, which now spans over 40 years, you've enhanced our mindfulness, illuminating our experience of wonder, fear, doubt, curiosity, yearning, hopefulness, resolve, anger, and tenderness. You've evoked the recognition of one's belonging, the necessity of one's separation, the inevitability of extinction, and the intuition of duration. You've sustained a radical amazement wedded to a radical skepticism, dissolving facile dualisms and recording our spiritual struggles. You are one of our great storytellers of consciousness, helping us to imagine change. With verbal intensity, formal energy, restless intelligence, unyielding scrutiny and authenticity, you have become one of this country's great poets of conscience. We honor you for your poetry that contributes dramatically and subtly to the tikkuning, the healing and transformation of our world. Bestowed this 14th day of March, 2011, 9th day of Adar, of the second month of Adar, 5771, by Tikkun and myself. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I truly am honored by that statement. I couldn't have written it better myself. I wouldn't have written it myself. And I'm honored to be here with so many. I'm honored to be here with so many people who I admire and to be in the list of people who I admire. I'm going to read two poems, one of which I wish I didn't have to read. It was written soon after the 3 Mile Island nuclear accident. And it's called Tar. The reason I'm reading it is fairly obvious because we're in a similar situation now. Tar. The first morning of 3 Mile Island, those first disquieting, uncertain, mystifying hours. All morning, a crew of workmen have been tearing the old decrepit roof off our building, and all morning, trying to distract myself, I've been wandering out to watch them as they hack away the leaden layers of asbestos paper and disassemble the disintegrating drains. After half a night of listening to the news, wondering how to know 100 miles downwind if and when to make a run for it and where, then a coming bolt awake at 7 when the roofers we've been waiting for since winter sent their ladders shrieking up our wall. We still know less than nothing. The utility company continues making little of the accident. The slick federal spokesmen still have their evasions and some semblance of order. Surely we suspect now we're being lied to. But in the meantime, there are the roofers setting winch frames, sledging rounds of tar apart, and there I am on the curb across, gawking. I never realized what brutal work it is, how matter-of-factly and harrowingly dangerous. The ladders flex and quiver, things skid from the edge, the materials are bulky and recalcitrant. When the rusty antique nails are levered out, their heads pull off, the underroofing crumbles, even the battered little furnace roaring along as patient as a donkey chokes and clogs, a dense malignant smoke shoots up, and someone has to fiddle with a cock, then hammer it before the gush and stench will de-intensify, the dark Dantean broth wearily subside. In its crucible, the stuff looks bland, like licorice. Spill it, though, on your boots or coveralls, it sears, and everything is permeated with it. The furnace gunked with burst and half-burst bubbles, the men themselves so completely slashed and mucked, they seem almost from another realm, like trolls. When they take their break, they leave their brooms standing at attention in the asphalt pails, work gloves clinging like Brer Rabbit to the bitten shafts, and they slouch along the precipitous lip, the enormous sky behind them, the heavy noontime air alive with shimmers and mirages. Sometime in the afternoon, I had to go inside. The advent of our vigil was upon us. However much we didn't want to, however little we would do about it, we'd understood. We were going to perish of all this. If not now, then soon. If not soon, then someday. Someday, some final generation hysterically aswarm beneath an atmosphere as unrelenting as rock would rue us all, anathematize our earthly comforts, curse our surfeits and submissions. I think I know, though I might rather not, why my roofers stay so clear to me, and why the rest, the terror of that time, the reflexive disbelief and distancing, all we should hold on to, dim so. I remember the president in his absurd protective booties, looking absolutely unafraid, the fool. I remember a woman on the front page glaring across the misty Susquehanna at those looming stacks. But more vividly, the men, silvered with glitter from the shingles, clinging like starlings beneath the eaves. Even the leftover carrots of tar in the gutter, so black they seemed to suck the light out of the air. By nightfall, kids had come across them. Every sidewalk on the block was scribbled with obscenities and hearts. I'll read one of the poems I published recently in Tikkun. I'll introduce it with a little joke to lighten up. There's a character in it who's my grandson, Turner, who's 6. And last year, he was talking to his mother. We're a very mixed family religiously. And he came home from school and he said, "Mama, are we Jewish?" And she said, "Well, not really." And he said, "Well, are we Protestant?" And she said, and he said, he said, "Wait a minute, Mama, don't worry, I know what we are. We're pedestrians." So the title of this poem is "The Day Continues Lovely." With fear and trembling, I studied my Kierkegaard. With sickness unto death, I contemplated with him my spiritual shortcomings. And it didn't occur to me until now that in the Kierkegaard I've read, he never takes time to actually pray. Odd. This isn't to question his faith, who dare, but his, agenda. All those intricate paradoxes of belief he devotes his time to untying, retying. Can it be that Kierkegaard simply forgets to pray? He's so busy tying, retying. I understand that. I have times I forget to remember I can't pray. Can't pray. This June morning, just after sparkling daybreak, and here I'm not praying. My 3 grandsons asleep on their mats on the floor of my study, shining all 3 more golden than gold, and I'm still not praying. Why aren't I? Even the dog Bwindi sprawled beside Turner, the youngest, Turner's sleep-curled fist on her back. Why haven't I prayed about them? I can imagine someday something inside me saying, well, why don't you? Something inside me, as though suddenly would be something inside me. There's a Buber story I'm probably misrepresenting that touches on this. A rabbi spends endless hours deciding whether to do good deeds or pray. He thinks this first, then that. This might be good, maybe that would be better. And suddenly a voice that can only be God's erupts. Stop dawdling. And God, he thinks, he's been chastened by God. Stop dawdling. And what happens then? In my anti-Bubering of the tale, everything's lost. The fool's had his moment with God. Even Moses had only how many? And he squandered it because all he could do was stand stunned, mouth hung metaphorically open, losing his chance to ask for guidance. But he'd vacillated again. And what happens now, he wonders in anguish. Maybe I should get out of this business, find a teaching job, write a book on my desolation, my suffering. Then he hears again louder, stop, stop. But this time it's his own voice, hopelessly loud, and he knows he'll forever be in this waiting, this without God, his glimpse of the undeniable already waning. And what about me? Leave aside Kierkegaard, Buber, the rabbis, just me. Haven't I spent my life trying to make up my mind about something? God, not God, soul, not soul. I'm like the binary kid, on, off, on. But isn't that what we all are? Overgrown electrical circuits, good, bad, hate, love. We go crazy trying to gap the space between on and off, but there is none. Click, click, left, right. Humans kill one another because there's no room to maneuver inside those minuscule switches. Meanwhile, cosmos roars with so many voices we can't hear ourselves think. Galaxy on, galaxy off, universe on, but another just behind this one more out front waiting for us to finish. They're flowing across us, sweet swamps of being, and we thrash in them, waving our futile antennae. Turner's awake now. He smiles, stand. Windy yawns and stands too. They come to see what I'm doing. Turner leans his head on my shoulder to peek. What am I doing? Thinking of Kierkegaard, thinking of beauty, thinking of prayer. Thank you.